Alright, I'm going to keep this quick because what else do you say after watching a game like that? Which I was really hoping the Bulls were going to be able to pull off a win tonight for the city of Chicago, because shout out and condolences to all of my Bears fans out there. You guys know I've never really been into the NFL. I'll watch it here and there for fun, and sure, I'll cheer on the Bears, of course, but it's just never been my thing. But my God, what a heartbreaking loss, especially going up against a team like the Packers. I felt the pain for you all. Chicago sports are really hurting right now across the board, but we'll save that for another day. But no, I was really hoping after the pain the Bears fans had to endure in this game, we could at least get a Bulls win against so far anyway, has been one of the better teams in the Western Conference. But of course, in classic Bulls fashion, they ended up getting obliterated by nearly 40 points in a game that, outside of the first quarter, was really never close, and the Rockets controlled most of this one, where they made the Bulls look like a G League team out there with how they got manhandled. I mean, look, every team is going to have one of these nights. Like hell, the Warriors, who have been on fire so far this season, they got beat down by the Cavs in one of their first losses. Even great teams have these really off games from time to time where nothing goes their way. But tonight, the Bulls took that to the next level, where they just let the Rockets have whatever they wanted on offense. Defense was optional in this game for the Bulls. Turnovers were all over the place. They gave the Rockets way too many second chance opportunities, getting outworked on the boards by an abysmal 66-47 on the glass. They shot the ball horribly, shooting 33% overall as a team. They went 36 for 107 from the field. They jacked up 56 threes, which I believe is a new franchise record, because they set a new franchise record for threes taken early in the year at 54, but they only made 14 of them, going 25% from deep. I mean, even when the Bulls were making the right plays, when they were moving the ball well, making nice passes to an inside open cutter, they would somehow screw it up by the cutter not catching the pass cleanly or just unable to finish at the rim. Shots they normally make weren't falling. Everything was a disaster. Nothing went their way. Just unacceptable basketball from this team tonight. I feel bad for the fans who were in attendance at this game tonight and watched that horrendous display of basketball. Now, give the Rockets credit. I mean, this is a legit team. They play incredibly well on both ends of the floor, and they play with effort and energy. Those guys play hard and with purpose. I'm likely going to have to make a video on them on the NBA channel, because they have far exceeded expectations so far in the early going of the season. So yes, it would be different if the Bulls showed up like this against a team like the Raptors, but even still, have some pride when you put on that Bulls uniform and you go out there. Like, that was one thing I was praising the guys so far this year were doing compared to what we had seen in years past, is they actually seemed to give a damn when they were out there and played the game like it meant something to them. Tonight, energy-wise, the vibes, the effort, the body language, I mean, you could argue this was worse than some of the lowest of the low points last season. Now, as I've said before, the Bulls are going to live and die by the three, especially when they know they aren't going to be a strong defensive team. Their only hope to win games is to play fast, move the ball well, and get up as many threes as possible. They certainly got the threes up tonight, but just could not knock them down. Patrick Williams, who has been one of the more consistent three-point shooters, goes 1 for 7. Giddey, I guess he's back to his old shooting woes, goes 1 for 6. Julian Phillips, who has been money from the corner, 0 for 4 from deep. Io 1 for 5. I will say, though, I was pleased to hear from Coby after the game, basically saying this game was an embarrassment and that the fans don't deserve this. He also added that the players were united and in agreement with how unacceptable the defensive effort was in this game. Zach Lavine also acknowledged the same, saying that we shouldn't let our offense dictate our defense, which is exactly what you saw tonight. The Bulls' shots weren't falling, and they were getting down on themselves because of it and weren't hustling back on defense. You've got to be able to maintain the same level of energy on defense regardless of how things are going for you on the other side of the ball. Now look, I'm not going to go through the box score and highlight each player's performance in this game. Everyone sucked tonight. The starters barely played for half of the game because it got out of hand so early that none of them played the fourth quarter. But here's what gets me when it came to the Bulls' rotation tonight. In a game like this, where it's over, you have no chance of winning, you're down 30 plus points in the third quarter, in a situation like that, in what world would we ever see Jevon Carter, Torrey Craig, and Talen Horton-Tucker getting minutes over someone like Modest Buzelis? Now, Modest played a few minutes, like 3 or 4 in the first half, but for whatever reason, Billy thought when this game was getting to be out of reach, instead of playing Modest, or Dalen Terry for that matter, he's putting in THT, Torrey Craig, and Jevon Carter. Now, to be fair, Modest would eventually come in and play most of the fourth quarter, but I was absolutely dumbfounded seeing this. You're talking about the perfect opportunity to give your rookie some run, even if it's more or less garbage time, to showcase what he can do. Like, if you're so focused on winning and aren't willing to give him minutes because he's just not ready, fine, I don't agree with that, but fine. In a game like this, though, when you have no shot at winning, give him all the minutes he can. Again, maybe I'm being a little too critical on Billy Donovan here because Modest would eventually close out the game and would ultimately play more minutes than anyone else on the bench except for Io. But yeah, I was just baffled when we were seeing Carter and Torrey Craig getting prioritized in a game that was out of reach before Modest. Anyway, just a bad game overall. Bad news day for both Bulls and Bears fans. And the Bulls are right back at it tomorrow night in the second game of back-to-back against the Detroit Pistons, which you would think, okay, maybe an easier win, but honestly, with the way the Bulls have played down to their competition, who the hell knows at this point? Until then, guys, as always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.